Hello, everyone. We're here today to talk about why QuickBooks Online is a compelling choice for the accounting software for small to mid-sized law firms. By that, I mean law firms with 10 to 100 employees. I'm Gary Allen, the founder of LeanLaw, which is software that customizes QuickBooks Online for law firms. I'm going to be your host for today. To introduce myself, I'm a 35-year practicing attorney and Stanford Law graduate. I've experienced the pain of weak business practices in law firms. So I'll never forget the Saturday when the managing partner of the law firm branch office I worked for called me to say the office was closing, meaning I was losing my job because of a dispute over overhead with the home office. I had a 6-month-old baby to feed at the time. I've also experienced how bad software can foster or even create those bad business practices. In short, I have developed a passion to help law firms become better businesses, and that's why I created LeanLaw. Thank you to Intuit and QuickBooks Online for sponsoring this broadcast. So let me introduce Matt Bright, who I'll be interviewing today. Matt is a senior product specialist in Intuit's partner channel. This means he's an expert about QuickBooks Online and how it works with partner software vendors like LeanLaw. Matt, thank you for being on the program.
Well, thank you for having me, Gary, and appreciate you sharing what you shared about your own personal experience. And we hope today we can talk about a few things to avoid that in the future.
Absolutely. So this program is designed for everyone in the law firm who's affected by the firm's accounting, especially the office manager, the accounting manager, the managing partner, and the outside professionals who help them. To kick off our conversation, everybody knows about QuickBooks. It's the dominant accounting software for American small businesses. Today, we're going to talk about things that may surprise you about QuickBooks and how it works for mid-sized firms. Matt, many of our listeners may be familiar with QuickBooks Desktop, but most firms today adopt QuickBooks Online. What's the difference?
Well, excellent question, Gary. And there's quite a bit there we could unpack, but I'll kind of break it down into three key sections. One, it's really thinking about, every company has flagship softwares, kind of what they started with, and then they have their new cutting edge technology. What's neat about cutting edge technology is often it has the most recent coding. It has more developers who are interested and excited about developing add-ons to that package. And what's interesting is one of the main differences between desktop and online when it comes to the technology aspect is it has over almost 3 times the apps that you can add to it. So that as you grow, as you expand, as you need different things out of your business package, you don't have to look for another solution. You can just get the right app like LeanLaw. And so really QBO is emerging as more of a platform than just a single software solution.
We'll come back to that, yes.
Yeah, and a lot of excitement in the API community. It also has an API, which desktop doesn't have. And so there's a lot of excitement to, again, as you have these beautiful solutions made in very specific industry and around industry and compliance workflows, they can then integrate right into this platform. But another thing is, freeing up the way you approach your work. It used to be kind of a cliche or a lot of business owners would take a wait and see attitude to, hey, what's this migration from desktop to the cloud? What does it mean getting my workflows, from the older manual ways I did them to the more automated systems, which, we all use cloud technology. You pick up your phone, you look at your email, you look at it, and just about anything you do, you're using an app. And what's beautiful about that is, if you're at home on your computer, if you're at work, or if you're on your phone, you have that anytime, anywhere access. And by moving to QBO, you get that same thing. You not only get the flexibility, the anytime, anywhere access, but then you also have a big company looking out for things like security and compliance. When you have software installed on a server It's their local. Well, now you're responsible. You have to have the firewalls in place. You have to have the data encryption. You have to have the IT work. You have to have all the updates constantly to keep that data safe. And that's, of course, the right thing to do as a business owner. But as you offboard more of this work to the cloud, well, then now that responsibility becomes shared, and in a lot of cases, taken care of, from your online provider. They have much more tools to make sure you have dual authentication, encryption, all the
Yeah.
security measures in place. So, a lot of exciting things happening there.
Let
To
me just jump in there for a second because I had to tell a little story about a law firm I know that waited a little too long to uh, get its software onto the cloud and off of the servers, and they were subject to a ransomware attack that shut them down and cost a whole lot of money to fix. So you think that on-premise software is safer in some ways, until you've been through something like that. But there are vulnerabilities there, just like, and it's harder for a small firm to track those things and avoid those vulnerabilities. So I'm a big cloud advocate at this point, and I know at least one law firm that is too.
Well, we hope, yeah, like I said, this resonates with all the law firms we're talking to today. Um, and one other thing that I'd like to talk a little bit about is, again, since QBO is on the cutting edge of technology, there's new workflows, there's new ways to approach your work, cash flow projections, workflow automations. But one neat thing, one specific way we're leveraging AI is with something called Intuit Assist. And if we can, I'd just like to play a quick video about this. Now,
Yes, we had to talk about AI today for sure.
yes, for sure.
Nice.
And one thing I will say, this particular video, it is more generic. We service all businesses, including law firms. So this is a little more generic, but as you see the features here, they really can translate to a law firm. And then I'm happy to say we have one more video for you today, and it is a little more specific to law firms. But let's take a look at this video real quick. Showcases a little bit about how we're using AI and Intuit Assist to automate and make things that you do even easier.
Let's take a look at Intuit Assist in QuickBooks. Let's start with how Intuit Assist will show insights about your business in a whole new way. Intuit Assist, show me my profit and loss for last month. And the previous month? What were my top selling products last month? Intuit Assist will also dynamically predict your follow-up questions and answer them in clear, natural language. The reality is, you may not always know what to ask or know that there are insights buried deep within your data. So Intuit Assist will surface it for you on the spot. When you log in, Intuit Assist will deliver a daily summary of personalized insights, surfacing cash flow hotspots, finding the places to improve cash flow, shining a light on spending anomalies, and even celebrating wins. You will be able to drill down into areas that matter most to you for clear next steps and recommendations. And for those of you who aren't on QuickBooks yet, Intuit Assist will revolutionize how you get started. Let me show you. Once you create a QuickBooks account, if you already have a website, Intuit Assist will automatically import your data from your website into QuickBooks to personalize your business profile. And when it comes to spreadsheets, we've got you covered. When you upload your spreadsheet of transactions, Intuit Assist will transform it into personalized insights and recommendations. You couldn't ask for an easier and quicker way to learn how to grow your business. Now, let's talk about how Intuit Assist will be able to do work for you in the future. It will take on day-to-day tasks like generating invoice reminders for you, which you can always choose to refine further, like make it shorter, change the tone to be more assertive, or maybe more friendly for your loyal customers. And once you're done tweaking it to just what you need, off it goes. Lastly, We understand that sometimes you just need to talk to an expert who has been through it all and can guide you with confidence. That's when Intuit Assist will connect you to an expert. We relay all the relevant information to your expert so that you have full confidence that you will be helped by someone who already knows your situation. Connect over a quick chat or a video call with screen sharing to get live expertise in a timely manner. During the call, our experts are supercharged by data, AI, and our virtual expert platform to help solve your problems with speed and confidence.
Yeah, as we mentioned, that used a restaurant as just an example, which I know none of you will be. But there was a lot of features in there. I'd like to kind of highlight specific to law firms, and again, I know you guys don't sell products. It kind of highlighted that. Maybe you can think of in terms of a law firm is, hey, show me how I've done with my clients, for the last month. Show me again my profit and loss statement. Show me different reports and things that are very applicable and meaningful. And then the surfacing of insights. If the different matters are taking more hours, or if working with a client is becoming less profitable because who knows, legislation changes, all sorts of things, maybe more hours, more research, more time to get that accomplished, whether it's filling out paperwork, being there in person, representing someone, etc. The software, that stuff can start to happen, and you're busy with multiple clients and you may not even realize it. Well, the software can start to surface those insights to you if your profitability is starting to go down.
Yeah.
Things are starting to happen you may not catch, without a lot of data analysis.
Yeah, what really excites me about it is when I talk about what law firms need in terms of data and insights, it's really about getting the right data to the right people at the right time. And this just makes it so much easier to surface those reports, where it's like, you might otherwise forget what menu it's on, or it's a report you only pull up once a month, so you're not familiar with, the settings aren't quite right. So there's, this is one of a number of features I want to talk about today that help get that right data to the right people at the right time. So very exciting. LeanLaw has sort of companion features for a lot of the things that we're doing, that we're working on. So, the whole issue of surfacing data is going to become a whole lot simpler over the coming months and years, which is really exciting. Awesome. So, Matt, a few years ago, Intuit developed a product for mid-sized businesses called QuickBooks Online Advanced. So what makes Advanced better for a mid-sized business?
Well, again, a lot to unpack there, and that old saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So I would like to share one more video with you. Again, this one does highlight actually some people specific to law firms and the support of law firms. So maybe we can play that video and then we can unpack a little bit about what we saw. That really makes QuickBooks Online Advanced a very specific and addressable software for mid-sized law firms.
QuickBooks Online Advanced is the most powerful QuickBooks Online plan designed to make running a complex business a whole lot easier. Automated workflows like bill and invoice approvals help reduce errors and keep the cash flowing, with reminders going out to the right people at the right time. Got a pile of invoices to get through? Import and send them off all at once. You can also enter and edit multiple bills and checks in batches. That means saving time on every transaction. When it comes to managing your money, you can see it all and do it all right inside Advanced. Multiple spreadsheets, on-site servers, that's yesterday. Advanced gives you a powerful, customizable financial hub for your business that you and your team can access from anywhere. You can even create entire custom reports from scratch and save them to reuse whenever you want. And the Performance Center in Advanced surfaces critical insights and lets you see trends, set benchmarks, and compare your performance every month, quarter, and year, all updated automatically. It will even show you how your business is doing relative to your peers. But your company is unique, and only you know what success means to your business. That's why we make it easy to track the KPIs that matter most to you with your own customized performance charts. QuickBooks Online Advanced gives growing complex businesses the power of an ERP at a fraction of the cost. Premium apps like Salesforce, HubSpot, Bill.com, and more work seamlessly with Advanced to help your teams work better together and complete the tasks that matter faster. With all your data and workflows accessible from one place, Advanced gives you a single source of truth for your business. When you have questions, you can count on premium 24/7 support. Work with a dedicated account team that understands your business goals. They're here to ensure that your advanced decisions work for the tasks you need to manage right now and support your vision of the future. Deeper insights, more productivity, and peace of mind. That's QuickBooks Online Advanced.
All right. That was really nice to see our good friends, Linda Artesani, who's a legal accounting expert we work with often, and Aaron Brown, a LeanLaw customer who owns a mid-sized law firm on that video. A lot of what I heard, Matt, was about batch functions and invoicing and payment workflows. Why are those important?
Yeah, this is where, again, one of the things we're really trying to solve for is efficiency. A subset of that a lot of people don't think about is user fatigue. If a user's having to go in and, as it showed there, couple dozen invoices on a screen, if they're having to go in and work with each one of those invoices separately, individually, repetitive button clicking, that's where employees unfortunately can get a little bit of burnout. But how much better it is, instead of doing things one-on-one, to do things one-to-many. And that's really what the batch functions solve for, is letting you set up a workflow and letting you approve or send out or make edits or whatever that you need to do on multiple pieces of data. In this case, like I said, invoices or payments. Instead of having to go hunt and peck, so to speak, and find one transaction at a time and work only with that one transaction and then rinse and repeat it, a dozen or 2 dozen more times. So we're really working hard to, like I said, free up that time so you can go reinvest it on the next client or, finding more billable hours, et cetera, really making you more efficient as a law firm.
Nice. So I understand QuickBooks Advanced has custom data fields. So I can think of quite a few things that law firms might use those for. For example, to separate transactions by practice area or clients by practice area. What other sorts of things have you seen firms using that feature for?
Sure. And again, this really gets back to making a product that addresses a larger or mid-market size customer, a law firm's needs. So sometimes law firms have multiple offices, they have representation in several major cities. And so, staff may help with a project in a different office or different area. And for job costing, they want to keep track of that. They want to understand, who's doing the work where. It may not always be at the same central location, city. And so, multiple offices, I see that used a lot, different areas of practice. So whether you're doing a civil suit or you're doing something commercial or injury or whatever, you may want to also track that as a subset. And where all this comes in is really for reporting. So now if you want to run profit and loss, or if you want to understand, again, you get one of those insights served up to you, hey, you're not being quite as profitable in civil litigation as you used to be. Well, now when you tag things this way, you can go and see, okay, well, are my hours, is it taking me more hours? Is it taking more people? Is it not as efficient because one team's not working on it, multiple teams are working on it? You can really start to unravel and understand what is either driving your profit up or, maybe hurting your profit a bit as a law firm.
So as I was looking through the features for Advanced, I really like the one about scheduled and customized reports. So again, we talked about getting the right data to the right people at the right time. Tell us a little bit more about those features.
Yeah, so what we really work to solve for there is, a lot of times when you sit down and you got to get that right data to the right person, it involves customization. Let's just be transparent there. You want to change the date range, you want to change maybe what columns show up, how the data is sorted, etc. What's nice is once you've kind of created that template, if you will, now you can save and memorize that report. And then you can schedule it where instead of you having to go and find that report, even though it's saved, and then rerun it monthly or quarterly or whatever the case may be, you can actually schedule it. So, put the hard work in once, get the report the way you need it. But then, just schedule it. Every month it'll go to the right person or people, whether it's internal, whether it's investors, whoever needs to see that, you can have those reports automated. So again, just a little less manual work for you to do.
Yeah, I love that, because there is a definite cadence to law firm reports. You've got, WIP, AR, and receipts that comes out every month, or some firms might even want that every week. If you don't have to think about that and it just happens, that's a very exciting thing. So one thing, prior to QuickBooks Advanced, something we would hear quite a lot about QuickBooks Online from our mid-size users is we didn't have enough user permissions. So how has that been addressed with QuickBooks Advanced?
Yeah, it's it used to be just transparently used to be one place where QBO kind of fell behind desktop. We'll just call it what it was. Now I'm happy to say, the user permissions are really on par, and in fact, we're even starting to get some different or even more ways you can kind of slice and dice user permissions in QuickBooks Online than in desktop. So it's really exciting. The whole point, I call it swim lanes. Like you don't want your person who's responsible for billing to see payroll, or you don't want
Right.
a payroll person to see how profitable the law firm is, or you want them only to have access and see the data they need to accomplish what you've hired them to do. And that's exactly what you can do with user permissions. You can say, do they have view access? Of course, if they don't have view access, then the rest of these options are moot point. But if they have view access, then what can they do? Can they only view it? Can they edit it? Can they delete it? And so you can go through element by element in QBO and really help define what a user needs to do and see. Now, the good thing is you don't have to do it all custom. You can, and that's, again, a really important piece of this. But also we have predefined user permissions. So it's things like a receivables person, a payables person, a payroll person. So there's a lot that are common and are, pretty go through all the industries, but again, you as a law firm, you may have some specific pieces you want to tailor, and that you have that flexibility as well.
Yeah, it's nice because, for most law firms using, say, QuickBooks Advanced and LeanLaw, there's a whole set of features that, it's going to be rare for the attorneys, for example, to be accessing QuickBooks, if at all. I know a lot of office managers wouldn't dare let their attorneys touch QuickBooks. But then you have a whole nother set of permissions in LeanLaw where you can, decide what the attorneys need to see in terms of billable hours and WIP and other things that and the features that are specific to LeanLaw. So I think that's between the two products, that's pretty well refined at this point.
Definitely.
The last question I wanted to talk about in this area is just, QuickBooks Advanced has been described as a scalable product. What does that mean for a mid-sized law firm?
What it really means, and I know we'll get into this more as we go throughout this discussion, but what we're working, again, really hard, and I kind of alluded to it at the beginning, there's so many developers, there's 750 apps, as you scale and you need more complex mid-market functionality. QBO, LeanLaw is going to do a lot of it, but maybe at some point you want to offboard your billing. Maybe at some point you want to have a FP&A software add-on. I don't, there's all sorts of different examples, but the reason it's scalable is if you need to add something beyond QBO and LeanLaw, you get to that size, you get to that complexity, or you run into an industry compliance or specialized workflow that's important to you. The great thing is add another app. It's not that you have to step off and step away from this partnership, but you can add to it as you go. And that's, anyway, we all know how expensive it is to switch systems, to switch platforms. And so you want something that's flexible, that you can add to, that will grow with you. And then, of course, obviously, every online product is always adding features all the time. You guys are adding features. So it's going to continue to get more complex and continue to grow as our client base grows. So a couple different components there, but that's what we really mean, that it's going to scale with you as you continue to grow.
Okay. And just for those of our audience who aren't familiar with the term, what is FP&A software?
Financial planning and analysis. Yeah. So
sometimes
sometimes CFOs, really are wanting to dig into the accounting by period and do these very complex calculations. And while QuickBooks can do elements of it, again, an add-on can make it even more complex. Like, I don't know, I'm just going to give an example. Let's say you got really big as a law firm and you want to bring on a couple more attorneys and a couple more people to do legal paperwork for you. Those kind of softwares can say, hey, if you brought on 2 attorneys and 3 assistants, here's not just how much the hourly expense would be, but you need to add in software, you need to add in training, you need to add in healthcare benefits. It can do all these complex calculations so that as you're sitting down and planning, hey, as I bring these, 5 more people on, like, what is the total cost to the law firm? And it can actually do that complete complex calculation, kind of pulling in all facets of what you pay those attorneys and employees. And so, like I said, we can do elements of it, that would do the whole thing.
Yeah, I think most law firms are just trying to get the bills out and paid. So, I think there's a future where there's more sophisticated planning like you're talking about. I love it. So I want to turn back to something that you said early on, which is talking about QBOA as a platform. So just, in general terms, what does that mean?
Yeah, it's, like I said, when we talk about QBOA as a platform, we're really talking about a number of things. One, as we've already mentioned, kind of that scalability. It's a product that you can continue to add to. QBO is the foundation and really handles a lot of the accounting. LeanLaw is going to go and tackle some of the more law-specific pieces. But also, it's more than just the software and the add-ons. Okay. A platform also has expert users, so that if you're not an expert in accounting, this platform has people who are familiar with and can help you out with things like accounting, bookkeeping, support, data migration, if you're switching from another system, or, if you're looking at potentially implementing in another third-party app. Different solution providers who are familiar with these apps and familiar with the data integrations. And so that's what we mean as a platform. It's really to support you, not just with your core accounting and functionality, but also a lot of the other pieces that go into running a business and having a good set of software to run a business.
So just to give our audience a sense, how many expert accountants are there who know how to use QuickBooks and are certified using QuickBooks?
Yeah, and this number is growing all the time, but right now we're north of 200,000. We call them pro advisors, and they've been certified. They've went through. They recertify every year, but they're experts at not just accounting, but also how to do accounting with QuickBooks solutions.
Yeah, well, and I can say that at LeanLaw, we work with lots of pro advisors who also specialize in law firms. So you get people who know QuickBooks and you get people who know law firms. And because it's an online product, you can hire the best from around the country. You don't have to find somebody in your community to help, which has been a huge advantage for a lot of our clients.
And that's a great point. Getting an accountant up to speed with the taking in of deposits and the specific in and outs of the legal space, that can take a little bit of time. And so, yeah, I should have called that out, but yeah, there's definitely a large subset of pro advisors who work with the legal space and are used to the nuances of, again, there is some.
Well, the trust accounting, for example, is something you've got to be really familiar with if you're going to work for a law firm. And if you have to teach somebody how to do that out of the gate, that's a pretty high hill to climb.
Yeah.
Awesome. So there's a term I've heard used for QuickBooks Online, which is that it's an ecosystem. So tell me about that. So what does it mean to be an ecosystem?
Yeah, and here's where an ecosystem kind of versus a platform. Here's where some of the differences lie in that. And what we mean by that is it's, I almost sit down and think about this kind of like front office, mid office, back office. Front office is all your client and all how you make money for the firm. Mid office is all the paperwork and kind of the logistics, the paperwork, the research, what do I need to do to help my clients with whatever it is I'm helping them with in the law space. And then lastly, once that work's done, of course, as we just mentioned, all the accounting needs to be done. But outside of that, you got to take care of the people who are doing that work. So things like payroll come into play. Things like HR, onboarding a new employee, or if you have to let an employee go, or hey, they go find another great job, but how soon are you supposed to cut them that check once they say, give you their 2 weeks notice, etc. So there's a lot of help with the employee management. And then to retain employees, of course, we know you need benefits, 401k and health and other things. The accepting of money, again, the bookkeeping and accounting helps. So what's exciting about this ecosystem is the fact that we have products that are made from QuickBooks and they integrate, obviously, so that things like time tracking, things like payroll, things like employee onboarding, employee handbooks, a lot of stuff that unless you're an HR expert, you can tap into the ecosystem and then have the expert help again that you need for taking good care of the people who make the money for your firm.
Right. Yeah. So I've run operations for LeanLaw for a long time, and it's amazing some of the applications you've got that can help you through that. And we'll talk about those in a second. But there's a lot of automation help that you can get for things that I think a lot of law office managers are used to doing manually, and payroll is a really good example of that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of those complementary applications. You mentioned there are over 750 of them. So let's talk about some of those apps that can help a mid-sized law firm.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, of course, LeanLaw. When it comes to all, like I said, the nuances of taking money in and then tracking all the debits, all the work done and how much money that you need to charge the client, and then do you need to bill them for more? While you can kind of do that in QBO, it's not going to be as specific as oftentimes clients need, to head off client questions when you send them out a bill or you send them out a statement. It's a little more vague in QuickBooks. It's very, very detailed in LeanLaw. So
yeah, I'll give everybody a little introduction to LeanLaw here in a second. Sure. I was kind of interested in, let's talk a little bit more about payroll, because I know that you've got the QuickBooks has its own payroll system that obviously fully integrated into QuickBooks. How does that help a mid-sized law firm?
Yeah, so multiple things is one, there's a time tracking element, there's a scheduling element, understanding who's doing what client they're working with, and then all those things being tracked back for job costing or profitability. What's nice is with our payroll, we do have the ability to again pull in all those hours and then automatically figure out deductions. We have the ability to automatically file all the paperwork for you, so you don't have to get a hold of the federal, the state government. You also have the ability, again, as I mentioned, with the different HR and other services. So if you're really wanting to just schedule your employees, and then if you don't know what they're going to be doing a week or two ahead of time and you can't schedule them, great thing is, as long as they have a phone, they can log in, they can say what work they're doing. All that can feed into payroll, and then not only do you have experts doing payroll for you, but on the our payroll also provides things like a no penalties guarantee. So our elite payroll has not only where we're looking at the payroll, we're checking it for errors, but also we even guarantee its accuracy. And if there ever was a question, we can even step in and represent you and help you out, if there's a payroll question. So there's a lot we do in the payroll space, the employee management space, the benefit space. And then there's other things too, payments. Sometimes people use our payments through QuickBooks, and then sometimes they'll use a very industry specific payments app. I know that's pretty popular in the law firm space. So there's just basically, here's how I break it down, Gary, is I always encourage businesses to step back and say, okay, of all the things I'm doing manually, or of all the things that take a lot of time or are very frustrating to do, a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I might not have been able to automate those. But if you kind of just take all those, what used to be, and kind of start with a fresh kind of thinking about it, like, what would you like to automate? What would you like to make easier? What would you like to not have to focus on as much or even worry about at all? And that's really where this app ecosystem comes in at. If you don't want to mess around with payroll, awesome, offboard it. If you don't want to mess around with sending out reminders for accounts receivable, awesome, we got an app for that. If you don't want to mess around with and again, I know we'll get into your software more, but some of the more specific vertical compliance and industry workflows for law firms, hey, we got a great app for that. So that's really how I would explain that, if that makes sense. Is there's so many things you can automate to really free up time, where it just helps you be more efficient, helps you grow.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's one app that I wanted to talk about that we use as part of the software company, which is called Ramp, which is like really revolutionized the way you do credit cards and expense management. It's all virtual. You can do it all online. You can issue a card for a limited period of time, so you're not futzing with, the physical card. There's one in the whole firm and everybody has to share the same number. And it's like, oh, I had no idea that could be that easy. So, apps like that, really, if you're not in an ecosystem like QuickBooks, you can't take advantage of that very well because it doesn't have the accounting integration. But it's, marvelous when you can, have it all connected like that. And it just, makes that what was a pretty messy job into a really easy one. So I love that. So you had brought up LeanLaw, and we're going to have a later talk about that gets into more detail on what LeanLaw does. But I just wanted to give people a little introduction and context there so that they would see, get an understanding of how that fits into what we're talking about. So when we looked at creating LeanLaw, we said, let's find a big platform like QuickBooks and take advantage of everything that they do really well. And then if there are things we need to customize for law firms, we'll build those and integrate those really deeply within the QuickBooks API. And So that's what we've been done over the last several years. So the places where, we felt like customization was really valuable to customers. One is the way you do timekeeping and fixed fees. So that's, there are ways lawyers like to do that that are, don't make sense in a generic environment. So we have all of the timekeeping timers, different ways of representing time on invoices that a law firm expects, and ways of creating fixed fees that are quite sophisticated for intellectual property firms and others that need that. We get everything we can out of QuickBooks invoices to make them look the way that law firms expect. And we actually are introducing features now where you can actually you can customize your invoices and send them out of LeanLaw. So if you just can't quite get what you want out of the QuickBooks invoice, you've got another option. We do fully automated trust accounting. So was like a 12-step process using QuickBooks by itself. It's 1 or 2 steps in LeanLaw. That's, it's kind of our first aha feature in the marketplace. We do a lot of standard and custom reporting specific to law firms, particularly how compensation is done in law firms for partners based on billable hours or collected time. We have specific ways to calculate that and distribute that. That's kind of a go-to feature for us. And now we are also developing a fully automated electronic payments workflow that allows law firms to do everything they can with QuickBooks payments and do that in a way that is customizable for law firms. So, that's where we in QuickBooks together, are like chocolate and peanut butter and are better than either alone. So we really love that about the Intuit partnership. So we'll talk about that more in a future fireside chat. I did want to mention we are developing AR features similar to Intuit Assist so that you can have that same functionality on the LeanLaw side. And we have some very exciting things coming in terms of integrations and reporting. So obviously our keystone integration is QuickBooks. We are building out a Microsoft 365 integration that starting in Q2 of 2024. We have a integration with a tool called Epona, which customizes Microsoft SharePoint as a document management tool, and we're looking at a NetDocuments integration. So we wanted a few really great integrations so that a law firm could have what we call best-in-breed integration and best-in-breed software. So you have the best of everything rather than just something that covers everything that may be great at some things and not so great at others. So that's a little bit about LeanLaw. Again, we'll talk about that more in a future fireside chat. So Matt, I did mention this idea about best-in-breed software, and I just wanted to put a little point on that. So again, we started with QuickBooks Online, which is an industry-leading small and SMB accounting platform that easily connects all your bank accounts into your accounting software. We add a legal specialty pro advisor accountant or bookkeeper to make it easier to do the books. We integrate legal customization through apps like LeanLaw, which also connects your critical legal production applications like MS 365 and NetDocs. And then we integrate the best ancillary apps for functions like payroll, AP, expenses, and AR. We think that's the future of legal software. We call that best in breed. So we're really excited to bring all that together and to do that in partnership with Intuit and QuickBooks. So, what should I guess I have a question for you. Is that going to be really expensive to put together a stack like that, or how much should that cost?
Well, that's the beautiful thing, and that's really, again, where we learned a lesson with QuickBooks Online and why we have so many apps, and why we're so excited about this partnership with LeanLaw is, when you get experts together and they're really good at what they do, and they're not starting from scratch. They already have great products, they have great industry knowledge. They're not having to go out and do so much research, to figure it all out. Anyway, bottom line, end of the day, it's oftentimes a lot more cost efficient than what you would think. Two, if you're sitting down right now and having to take information from your billing app and put it in Excel, take information from your accounting, put it in Excel, if you're having to pull information from 3, 4, 6, a dozen different places, really sit down and think about, what is that costing you? There is a cost to that. Even though you may not be paying a monthly fee to, do it manually, you are paying employees, you are spending time, you are spending resources. And when you combine all this, like you've been talking about, Gary, and that's why we're so excited when you get the industry expertise and the correct workflows in place, instead of the 12-step QBO process, the 2-step LeanLaw process, think about how that's going to transform the way you're able to go about your business and how much money it'll save, like I said, in employees and resources. But a lot of times, again, you'd be surprised, QuickBooks Online Advanced doesn't cost as much as what you would think, especially at a mid-market space. And that's where we'd really love to hear from you. We can kind of hear of all your needs, everything you need to do across the ecosystem, where QuickBooks can help, where LeanLaw and other apps may be able to help, and put you together a package. And a lot of times, the few $100s a month it represents, again, is a drop in the bucket compared to how much time it'll save you. So that's one of the things I'm most excited about, Gary. This used to be, when moving to the cloud first came into the scene, super expensive because it was brand new, cutting edge. 10 years later, it's kind of commonplace, and now prices have fallen. People have partnered, and people have really latched onto this, and it's become affordable, which is exciting as well, because now it's not really a barrier to entry. And then when people see how much easier it is, how much profitable, how much more efficient they are, getting everything pulled back in, getting those insights, kind of a recap of everything we were talking about, oftentimes it makes a ton of sense, and customers are, man, I wish I would have done this a few years ago. So
yeah, no, it's a new world that way. In my law firm, when we've made software changes, it's just been like eye-poppingly expensive. And it's great to see that it's down in the range of, the $100 to $200 a month per user or so. I think QuickBooks Online Advanced is a real bargain for a mid-sized firm, because you don't charge, you don't have to have everybody in the firm as a user. So there's relatively few users, and it's a very powerful tool for what it costs. So I think that's a big selling point. Very good. So Matt, do you have any closing words for us?
Well, like I said, one last thing I just want to mention is, not all integrations are created equally.
That's a good point.
And what I really appreciate that you brought out, Gary, and the reason why we're so excited about this partnership and why we're doing this fireside chat, is because of the time you've taken to really get in depth with the API integration. And so, again, look for everything you can automate, but also vet out people who say they've done an integration. Our API is public. Anyone can sit and type an integration. They can even go through the process and start shouting it from the rooftop, so to speak. But what's different about partners like LeanLaw who are on our apps ecosystem, apps.intuit.com, is again, they have this really tight integration. It's not a summary integration, it's an individual. You can see everything that happened with every client. You can see every line item on the invoice. A lot of people will kind of cut corners when they integrate and only send over summary information, which does catch your accounting up to speed. Hey, I billed out for $10,000 worth of different services today. But if it doesn't break it down to the customer and what those individual line items are, again, that can cause problems when you go to collect the money and
Right.
you go to look at history. So that's the other thing I would mention is just super excited in this space. A lot of partners emerging, but look for ones like LeanLaw who have taken the time, taken the development, understand the API, have went deep, have worked with the partner, in this case Intuit, and really tested out and made sure that the data is flowing accurately and again, best in class, which it is. And that's why I'm super excited. So yeah, would love to hear from you guys. Would love to see, if you have questions. I always tell Gary I'm part of the team, even though I'm an Intuit badge employee. If anyone has a question, he shoots me hey, this client has this question. We research it, we get back. So whatever I can do to help. And thank you for having me today, Gary. And just really excited that we now can step up to the law space and in the mid-market law space and have a really compelling product by partnering together. So thank you for having me today.
All right. Thank you so much, Matt. That was really interesting to learn more about QuickBooks and QuickBooks Advanced. And we'll look forward to our next fireside chat. And we'll call it a day. Thanks, everyone.